Stop. Seriously, stop right there. If you were sitting there with your current phone, counting down the days until Apple announces the iPhone 17e, you are about to make a massive mistake. I need you to put your wallet away and listen very closely because there is a trap being set right now, and the vast majority of people are going to walk straight into it without even realizing what happened. We are seeing hype build up all over the internet for this budget phone, but if you look past the marketing and the rumors, the reality is much different. If you can stretch your budget even a tiny bit, waiting for the 17 isn't just a bad move. It is genuinely a waste of your money. We need to talk about why the regular iPhone 17 is unquestionably the smarter, safer, and better purchase for almost everyone. Let's be real about why you're waiting. It's the price, right? We all want a deal. Apple is expected to launch this new iPhone 17e very soon, likely as early as next month, and the price tag is rumored to be sitting right at that sweet spot of $599. On paper, that number looks incredible. It sounds like the bargain of the year. The rumors tell us it's getting the new chip, it's finally getting the dynamic island, and it will have MagSafe. It sounds like you're getting the full modern iPhone experience for cheap. But that is exactly how they get you. It sounds like a bargain, but when you pull out the magnifying glass, you realize the standard iPhone 17 is sitting just $200 higher. Now, $200 is real money, I get that. But when you break down what you actually get for that money, the iPhone 17 becomes the perfect example of low-hanging fruit, while the 17e starts to look like a bad investment that you're going to regret in 6 months. Let's look at exactly what that extra cash buys you, because the difference isn't just about specs. It is about how the phone actually feels in your hand every single day. The first major deal breaker, and honestly, this alone is worth the extra money, is the display. The iPhone 17e is expected to reuse the same technology found on the older budget models. We're talking about a 6.1-inch, 60 Hz OLED panel. Sure, the rumors say the bezels might be thinner, and yes, the notch is gone, but those are just cosmetic changes. They do not change the fundamental user experience. At its core, it is still a 60 Hz display. That means it refreshes 60 times a second. In 2026, that is ancient history. It will likely have poor brightness because there are absolutely no leaks suggesting Apple has improved the panel quality for the budget tier. Now, compare that to the standard iPhone 17. This phone had many wins, but the biggest one was the screen. It finally brought a 120 Hz refresh rate to the non-Pro models. This makes the display feel incredibly smooth. I cannot overstate this. Everything from scrolling through Instagram or TikTok to closing apps feels fluid and liquid. It creates an illusion of speed that makes the phone feel twice as fast. Once you use a 120 Hz iPhone, going back to a 60 Hz screen feels impossible. It actually feels broken, like the phone is lagging, even if it isn't. Do not do that to yourself in 2026. On top of the smoothness, the standard 17 screen is slightly larger at 6.3 inches. It is more power efficient, and it has an anti-reflective coating, so it looks way better when you're outside in the sun. It gets much, much brighter. I would go as far as to say that this one feature, the screen, is reason enough to save up that extra $200. Then we have to talk about the cameras. This is the second most important difference for most people. The iPhone 17e is expected to stick with a single 48-megapixel camera on the back. Just one lens. There is no secondary lens. This limits your flexibility severely. We saw this with previous single-camera iPhones. While the main camera might take photos that look almost identical to the flagship in perfect lighting, the system falls apart in other areas. It was visibly worse during video tests, and it lacks versatility. The regular iPhone 17 comes with a 48-megapixel ultra-wide camera. This gives you options. The ultra-wide is incredibly useful when you're in tight spaces. Imagine you're at a party with friends, or in a small restaurant, or you're trying to capture a massive landscape on a hike. You need that ultra-wide lens to fit everything in. If photography and video matter to you at all, the 17e is going to disappoint you. You will feel limited ever. Why time you try to capture a candid moment and realize you physically can't fit everything in the frame because you don't have that second lens. Next, Let's look at battery and charging. This is where things get really interesting and where the budget aspect really hurts the user experience. On paper, sometimes the budget models have decent-sized batteries. But battery life is not just about the size of the tank. It is about efficiency. The flagship iPhone 17 actually has fantastic battery life in real-world usage, likely because of that more efficient display we talked about, or maybe Apple tweaked the chip for better power management. Whatever the reason, you can expect the upcoming 17e to be worse than the 17. But the real difference, the one that will annoy you daily, is charging. This is where you will notice the pain. Even if MagSafe finally comes to the iPhone 17e, the wired charging is expected to top out at around 20 watts. That is slow by modern standards. The iPhone 17 doubles that speed. It supports wired charging up to 40 watts. It also supports full MagSafe and Qi 2 wireless charging at 25 watts. In other words, charging the iPhone 17 with a cable will be at least twice as fast as the 17e. When you're in a rush in the morning, or you need a quick top-up before heading out for the night, that difference is everything. Waiting around for a slow-charging phone is painful. We also need to touch on performance. The iPhone 17e is expected to use the A19 chip, just like the iPhone 17. You might think, great, they have the same brain, so they're just as fast. But that is not entirely true. Apple usually bins the chips for the cheaper phones. That means they take the chips that didn't quite make the cut for the flagship. Maybe they have a defect in the graphics department, and they put them in the budget phone. We expect the 17e to have fewer GPU cores. Our data shows that while CPU performance might be similar, the GPU takes a hit. This affects gaming, it affects video and photo editing, and it even affects on-device AI processes which rely heavily on a GPU. If you plan to keep your phone for a few years, you want that extra graphical power. Finally, let's do the math. This is where the deal of the 17e completely falls apart. At $599, the iPhone 17e sounds like a bargain. If you truly do not care about a single camera, slow charging, and a choppy 60Hz display, maybe you would enjoy it. But look at the storage. The iPhone 17 starts at $800, but the base storage is now 256 gigabytes. If you want 256 gigabytes on the 17e, you will likely have to pay extra to upgrade the storage, bringing the price up to around $700. At that point, the gap is only $100. Think about that. For just $100 more, you get the flagship device. You get the 120Hz promotion screen. You get the dual cameras. You get the fast charging. You get the better resale value. You must remember that the iPhone 17 will age far more gracefully. It will hold its value longer. It will feel new for years longer than the 17e because of that screen and that extra power. Waiting months for a cheaper iPhone that cuts this many corners is not a smart play. There are no coincidences in Apple's pricing strategy. Nothing is accidental. The iPhone 17e is positioned just close enough to the base iPhone to push buyers upward. The difference this year is that the regular iPhone 17 makes that jump genuinely worthwhile. It is a much better value proposition than last year's model. The iPhone 17 only makes sense if price is your single deciding factor and you absolutely cannot spend more than $600. For everyone else, waiting for it is a mistake. If you're already planning to wait until spring for the 17e, stop. Save a little longer. Buy the iPhone 17 instead. It is the smarter long-term purchase. It is one of the best iPhones Apple has made in the last decade. Do not settle for less when the real deal is right there. If you liked this video and found it helpful, please subscribe to the channel, share this video with anyone you know who is thinking about buying a new iPhone, and hit the bell icon so you never miss an update. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.